This is our real thoughts on Cats and Dogs.
Oh, that
the cinematic classic, yes.
But with the Goldblum, yes.
They really like to hit the landmarks.
Going with Independence Day 2 there. Yes.
Resurgence.
Change the sequel. Change the world.
The whole video here is just going to be done in Jeff Goldblum the whole time.
Cats and dogs, yes. Thoughts, inquiries, etc.
My favorite line when we were watching this is when he sees the talking cat for the first time. He just went, "Oh, it's that kind of movie." Like, oh, that's the kind of movie I'm in. You know, I'll tell you something right now. When I saw the trailer for this, I'll be honest, because everybody's like, "Oh, it looks so stupid, it looks so..." It looked funny to me. I thought this was a funny idea. I thought it could be very humorous. And even some of the setups are not that bad, but it's like, this just seems horribly misdirected. And when, you remember like when we saw like Babe, especially Babe Pig in the City, and how dark and weird it was, but also like strangely dramatic and stuff. And
that's what happens when you have the director of Mad Max involved.
Yeah, and when those animals talked and when they gave a look and a stare, you felt like, man, they're really talking to each other. They're really emoting. They're really... Goose. Even though you know they can't understand what they're doing, but they just kept the focus and they were there, and this the whole time, you could just see like them waving the bone and them looking around, and then they just move the mouth. I mean, that's just so distracting, especially in a comedy.
I believe the problem here is that the idea was sound.
You started thinking that, maybe you could, you just stopped to think
but the execution was unharmonious.
It's one of those things where it's like...
discordant, if you will.
Okay, shut up. God.
Dissonance.
You can do a Goldblum impression. You started it. Yes, but you had to be good at it, though. Okay, I started. It's your turn to stop it.
Oh, no. I see what's going on here. This is jealousy. This is jealousy.
I'm jealous of your Goldblum, huh? It doesn't matter, because we both know that the person that does the best Goldblum is Ego Raptor. Who taught us? We were like his minions.
Oh no, I never.
His.
Oh no, I have. Anytime we're at a con and they're like, "You do a great Goldblum impression," I'm like, "Thank Ego Raptor."
Yeah, no,
he taught me the pattern, which is just but. Always interrupt sentences with little interjections and ahs, yes.
So this movie, because when we did this, it got a lot of hits pretty fast, and I was like,
I just feel like
I had a feeling this had a following.
Anybody who was a kid at that age when this film, how was this film? 10 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Anybody who was a kid at that age, between the ages of 5 to 13, probably saw this movie. I also feel like when it was released, I seem to have a memory it was the only family film out at the time, so it was one of those that had the lucky break of
back when it was Pixar and nothing else, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those seasons where there was no other major family film.
When you see the trailer for this, it's like the biggest war going on is right under your nose, and you just see that cute little cat with this Russian accent coming out, I think I'm not baby puppy and stuff. It's like, it looks funny, and then that cute little, cat with the white hair and everything saying, "We're trying to take over the world!" It's like, this could work. This could actually be funny, kind of like a Bee in the Brain way.
I actually think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Even the funny thing is, even the CGI, which I would have animated it classically.
Yeah, there's really no reason.
The better movie that tapped into this was fucking Bolt.
Yeah.
I loved that movie. I would have done it more like that, where it's like a CGI movie, but or CGI animated the whole way through, not set in real life with live footage. But even then, I didn't even mind that as much as I thought I would. I didn't like any of the characters. Except for the Bloom. And I liked who's playing the cat? Dom DeLuise?
The main bad cat?
Yeah.
Who was it? No, not Dom DeLuise. It's like...
Was he dead already?
No, maybe. I want to say he's from Kids in the Hall, but I don't know. Don't quote me on that. It's some sort of actor. It's like you see him. It's like, I know him from stuff.
Rip us apart all you want. Yeah. I don't know every actor in Cats and fucking Dogs. But I liked him. I liked the Russian cat. I like the ninja cat. But the main character, the fucking dogs.
Yeah, the Tobey Maguire, the Alec Baldwin. Just immediate kill a movie. Have them as your stars.
Alec Baldwin and Tobey Maguire are dogs. Oh God. I just was so uninvested, and I'm like, had you made it just about the secret agent dogs, not a dog who wants more adventure and then he gets wound up in this fight and I'm sorry, Uncle Ben, I'm Spider Dog, and if you had made it like a real secret agent dog who was in on this from the beginning, I think it would have been way better. Making him this like schmuck dog that gets pulled into this by mistake, and he's just so ineffectual.
Well, you know, as
could have replaced him with a dust mop, I wouldn't have noticed.
I remember this movie got like mixed reviews when it came out. It wasn't like positive, it wasn't negative, it was somewhere in the middle. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, I still think it might be good. Maybe people just aren't open to this idea and stuff. So when it came out to video, I rented it, I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, a little awkward, but I'm still, you know, some of the shots were funny with the cats looking evil and stuff like that. And as soon as it cut, yeah, to that Tobey Maguire dog saying, haven't you guys ever dreamed about anything? Have you ever wanted to explore being Trevor? I'm like, shit, this is gonna suck.
Oh, and you know what kills me? What fucking kills me? I said this from the beginning. He's going on this fucking rant about like, I want more. It's like a Disney movie. I want more.
Yeah.
And he goes on this rant. He lives on a fucking farm.
Yeah.
Now, I get it if you're a human and it's like, I want much more than this prevent your life. But if you're a dog, this is fucking heaven.
Yeah, it's
there's
like
nothing better than you're on a farm, you've got all the space to run, to explore, to bark at random animals, you know, and
I want to go to suburbia.
Yeah, I want to go to suburbia where I can just live in a house and the backyard is my playground. I guess, what fucking dog wants that?
I can connect with a boy, a really bad acting boy. that poor kid. I always feel bad ripping into kid actors because they're kids, you know, but it's like, he was not very good.
I haven't seen little kid acting that good in a dog movie since Bingo.
It's just one of those things, because I think this was at a time where it's like Pixar, I think, was just starting to come out, and it was like, hey, maybe kids' films can be smart and intelligent, but it's like, Pixar was it, all the other ones were that crap.
Yeah. So the very base from which you're starting is bullshit.
Yeah.
Because that dog would have wanted to stay on the farm. And then the second major problem is, it's cats and dogs versus each other, and of course the film is like, dogs great, all cats evil, because they have brains. That's really what's going on there.
Wow, very anti-dog.
I'm not anti-dog. I'm just it's always like, oh, dogs, dogs, dogs. I just think cats are the smarter creatures. Like, what? They're lazy, shiftless, do nothing, and people just pamper them all day. And I'm like, yes, that's why they're the smarter fucking animal.
That's why they're trying to take over the world. See, they have the intelligence.
So the whole movie is basically based on this idea that like, oh, well, dogs are better than cats. But the cats are the only interesting characters in the movie. So that completely undercuts that moral when I don't give a shit about any of the dogs.
Well, the funny thing is that, you know, with the dogs in this movie, you know, like you say, you want to make a connection with them, you know, but they're just so not interesting, you know, even how cute they make him and stuff, all the little dog jokes, it doesn't work. But like the slapstick in this movie, like whenever there's so much of this where it's like, we love slapstick done right, and you swear they just throw in these cartoon
that
sounds.
first scene where the dog gets hit and the cat shoved the dog in the van or whatever.
That's funny.
That was the best scene in the movie. I laughed my ass off.
But even the sounds
I was like,
that
holy
they have,
fuck!
But even the sounds that they have going in, it's like boing, boom, pow, doo, dee, doo, and that's not how good slapsticks work. You have to be very selective on the sound effects you use, and they just threw in random ones. How many times did they use that? I mean, they used that like 5 times.
It's very clear the director was making a cartoon and had no idea how to make a cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, that's even
should have handed it to an animation director and done it.
And it's so funny that this guy went on to do Son of the Mask, which we all know how great that turned out.
Now I don't feel bad for making. Yeah. Well, Son of the Mask makes this movie look like the fucking Godfather.
Yeah. I will say this, there's gotta... I mean, I'm thinking if I'm a director on this movie and it's like, hey, you can't CGI it, you gotta use animals and puppets and some CGI and stuff, it's like, that is gotta be tough. That's gotta be tough to get these animals to, like, look when you want to look, have expressions and emotions and so on and so forth, and do slapstick and things like that. But then, like I said, you see Babe, and you see Babe Pig in the City and how well they do it there, and it's like, why couldn't they do that? Maybe they didn't have the budget or the time or something, but you could do clever editing. You could choose better sound effects. You could write a better story.
This guy directed Son of the Mask. I think we answered our own question already.
No,
I'm gonna get back to this thing though. You were talking about how we're completely disinterested in the dogs, and I'm not an anti-dog person. I actually like dogs. I like cats a little better, but I love dogs. That's the thing. How can you not have automatic sympathy for a dog? How does a movie accomplish that?
Yeah, it's
you
like
should be
already
all over the dog characters, and I'm completely like, that's just a gimme. That's as Archer would say, that's baby frolics. Like you're handed dog characters to make sympathetic, and you can't do it? How?
And there's something to when you hear a certain line, and like I said, I almost want to say everything that's wrong with the movie you can just sum up in that one scene where you first see the Tobey Maguire dog, because, I mean, even all the puppies going, oh, not again, and it's like, people are probably watching it today like, oh, was that a thing back then? No, it was already dated even back then.
Just thank God he didn't sing, I want to be where the people are.
He'll sing the song for Spider-Man 3, play it cool. Which was already half CG anyway.
The funny thing about Tobey Maguire is I don't hate Tobey Maguire at all. But when he ends up in a bad film or
it makes it easier to hate.
Yeah, or a scene or something that does him no favors, it's way easier. He's very easy to hate.
Yeah.
It's like there's some actors that have a charisma that if you put them in scenes like that, you're still like, but it's like, it's still Christopher Walken. I even like Jeff Goldblum. Like, but Tobey Maguire, not so much. I just kind of want to punch him in the face.
Yeah, it's every time
I have nothing against Tobey Maguire. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but like, if I see him on the street, I have a 50-50 chance of either saying, hey, I liked you in the first 2 Spider-Man movies, or punching him in the face and saying that's for cats and dogs.
There's something to that guy where I always feel like, I'm sure he's a cool guy, and it always looks like he's trying his hardest. Like, he's really doing his damnedest, It can't be easy being Spider-Man, and all these other roles.
I liked him in Seabiscuit.
But there is just something to the voice and the derpy face.
He has resting derp face. That does not help him. Not as bad as Ted Cruz resting bitch face, but
he can be great in comedies. I'm trying to think of a comedy where he was great, but I know I've seen it. I know he has been legitimately funny and stuff. But yeah, when he has to do the dramatic
like a comedy
stuff,
on the tip of my tongue, and I'm thinking, no, he was funny in that. I can't remember what film it was.
But
we're not helping our case.
No, I guess not. But when he wants to try and do
Tobey Maguire fine, but he does not work in this film whatsoever.
No.
Horribly miscast.
So what the hell else can you say about this movie? It's just one of those films where it's one of those where it's almost like, I wish we almost could rewrite it or redo it or something, because you can see it working. You could see this being funny, but, it's one of those where it's I'm sure they're on schedule, I'm sure they just gave it to someone, it's just turn it out, whatever.
It's to be a film handed to Pixar, Brad Bird, or, the teams behind, something like Samurai Jack or Hotel Transylvania, some people who know slapstick.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just...
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. The last big thing I'll say about this is that there was a time, I can't remember if I brought this up in the quote-unquote dark age of movies or whatever editorial, but there was a time when it's movie directing, or right now it's about how do you serve the story, how do you serve the franchise, how do you serve the characters, kind of what movies should kind of be and stuff. But there was a good, 7 or 8 years where everything was, how can the director get their vision out? And they wanted to look really weird, and everything was really wide-angled or fish-eye lens, and there was all these really weird angles, and every director wanted to be noticed.
Post-Burton, Wachowski, Fincher.
Yeah, every director wanted their style. They wanted their unique stamp. And it really got in the way, and it really kind of destroyed what should have been good movies. Mystery Men is another one. You remember that one where it's this is actually kind of a funny idea, it could be good, but the directing totally killed it.
Okay, there were some things in Mystery Men I thought from a directing perspective and cinematography is a little overwrought. But you're way too hard on that movie. I don't think, honestly, I like Mystery Men, and I didn't think the directing was that. There's a few standout scenes I'm like, why they do a fishing lens? Why is it point of view but I think overall it actually worked.
But that movie could have been so much funnier if it was done kind of more of a matter of fact, style where everything just looks very common, but instead they want the city to look weird and the old folks home at the beginning really odd and weird and everybody's going like this, and that's not how that comedy is supposed to work. It's supposed to be superheroes in a normal world.
I disagree. I think I liked it in its own little universe. I enjoyed it for that.
All right, well, maybe you're wrong and I'm right, or that's the only alternative.
More likely, I am right because I do the better Goldblum.
Well, can we all agree that Mystery Men would have been a lot better if Goldblum was in it?
Well, absolutely, yes.
Goldblum slap!
I would have been called the Wizard of Oz.
That was like, when we were watching this movie, like, we just couldn't shut up with our Goldblum, so we just kept going.
I will say this, he is the funniest thing kind of in the movie because he's in movie B. I love films where there's like two separate competing films and you get the impression that there was some other movie filming in the basement that you can't see, but that interrupts this movie occasionally. And like, that's what's going on, is Jeff Goldblum was in some sort of weird like spoof of The Fly going on in his basement downstairs. Help me. Like, you know, with this freaking allergy thing he was trying to come up with. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm more interested in the movie they're shooting downstairs than the one they're shooting upstairs.
You know, I really love how there's been... I know it sounds so strange because we made fun of him so much, but there's, like, kind of this resurgence of Goldblum, and, like, it's like he came in and everybody loved him, then he kept doing the same shtick and everybody hated him, and now it's like he knows it's a shtick and he's having fun with it.
Lost, for me,
Lost World?
I like Goldblum. Lost World was the one where I'm like, if he doesn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah. But he also did Powder, and to me, he annoys the hell out of me in Independence Day. I mean, we'll see how resurgence is.
Here's the problem with Lost World in particular. Independence Day is goofy enough that... See, here's the difference between Independence Day and Lost World. Independence Day instinctively... I feel like Roland Emmerich has lost this style. Instinctively knew somehow it was garbage.
Yeah, that's a dumb
And I think Goldblum instinctively knew it was garbage, and it plays off like that. He plays what is exactly the same character in Lost World. I mean, there's that, you're a destroyer, look at all the hell, dinosaurs, same shit, but Lost World is so fucking pretentious and full of itself and thinks it's saying something important from a book that Crichton just wrote for a fucking paycheck. I mean, you read that thing, you're just like, seriously? Like, this is it? Like, somebody just wrote you a check. He's like, all right, here's your sequel. It's nice.
Michael Crichton.
Hate the book, hate the movie, and he completely comes off terrible in that because it's supposed to kind of be taken seriously. I mean, he's trying to Goldblum it up and shtick it up, but everything I say is a message.
He's trying to be really serious. You're like, no, we have something.
Oh, and there's good Vince Vaughn, by the way. Yeah, everything he says.
He did send a secret weapon. Who's that? Me. It's like, yeah, totally on your side.
That's where I wanted Goldblum to say, no, John, you're making all the mistakes.
God, yeah, you know, a movie with Goldblum and Vince Vaughn is supposed to be taken seriously. I mean, there's your problem right there.
I do love Vince Vaughn, but only in comedy.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite comedic actors. Whenever he's in like the fucking Cell, but that's the thing. The Cell, I laugh my ass off. I'm like, maybe he was trying to play this.
Yeah, if you look,
so he's not gonna stab himself.
Maybe he's subconsciously trying to make the dramas comedies too. But we're getting really sidetracked. What I was getting to is that Goldblum is surprisingly kind of funny here because, again, it's kind of his shtick, and he kind of knows it. You know, we just saw him on Kimmy Schmidt. Hilarious.
One of the best Goldblum roles I've seen in a while.
Those Apartment.com commercials. Hilarious. And I feel like he's aware of it now, and he's having fun. That's really what I feel he needs to do, and honestly, to his credit...
He's Christopher Walken again.
Yeah.
But Walken was the same thing. I think early on Walken was serious, and now he's just like... Oh, I get it. You all think I'm funny. Well, I'll just be funny.
I think and even though I think the movie's gonna be shit, the second Independence Day I think is probably a really good choice for him because, like, you know he's gonna yuck that up. He's like, oh, checkmate. Oh, that light hit the landmarks. Oh, you know, I mean, that's gonna be
pieces up. Everything's in place, and
then what happens? Checkmate. And now you're selling it. Well,
I'll sell it. Put it on a plastic lunchbox. Yes.
Ironic, because that's what they do with the movie. It's talking about all the evils of trying to sell this idea, but they sell the idea.
No Will Smith, I'm kind of out. Like, I'm in it only for Goldblum, but the lack of Will Smith, like, I'm like, because he was the only thing.
He was the only fun thing in that movie.
Yeah, it was Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum. Were like all that other filler plot going on. I'm like, don't care about any of these people. I like Bill Pullman. Like, Bill Pullman's amazing, but Bill Pullman as the president. It was only at the very end when he started giving speeches and going up in the plane that I'm like, okay, now this is really funny, but otherwise all he did was just kind of stare off into the distance.
Yeah, let me sleep.
I think maybe these aliens
Can you imagine him and
from
cats
the
and
Ford
dogs?
Galaxy.
Can you imagine him and cats and dogs? Cats. Dogs. That'd be interesting going, That's why I think he's a cranky old man who just was woken up. That's the Bill Pullman performance.
Princess.
Except for that, he was great in that. So, yeah, clear, we're talking about other things here, so anything else you can think to talk about this movie?
The only thing that struck me odd is...
I'm sure it's not the thing, but...
I prefer to have my movies, even as ridiculous as they are, be grounded in some sense of reality. And the reaction off the kid, with dogs and cats suddenly talking in front of him, blindfolded and tied to a chair, and he's like, and the mom's all like, we're in trouble. He's like, no, we're fine, we got this. Like, he's so nonchalant about it all. I'm like, really? Because that would be a whole bunch for me to deal with in one day. Cats are trying to take over the world. You're going to be burned in a factory fire. Wouldn't
it be funny?
We're fine.
Wouldn't it be funny if the mother was trying to calm him down, he's panicking, then she panics, making it worse? But no, it's just, she's supposed to panic. Which, I mean, that scene, to her credit, was actually a little funny. Like, she was a little funny. But yeah, with him, it's like, I'm not afraid, and I'm just like, what? If I was your age, I'd be pissing my pants right now.
Yeah, you know what it is? I feel like it's a very unrealistic trait for any kid to have.
Even in a bullshit movie.
Yeah, even in a bullshit movie, it just struck me as unrealistic, and it struck me as one of those movies like, well, we can't really scare the kids. I'm like, fuck you can scare the kids. I grew up in the 80s. I know what it's like to be scared.
The director, this is going to scare us inside of the mask. You can scare them here.
Yeah, you could throw a little danger there. I feel like the movie was too much trying to wink like they're all going to be okay. That doesn't make it interesting. Like, if I were a kid, I'd be like, well, everything's going to be fine. Like, I don't know.
Well, and as a kid, you want to be invested in it as well. The main character isn't,
the main character doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, or I mean, the character that's supposed to represent you as a kid is not scared, or why should you be invested? If he's not invested, why should you be invested?
The kids should follow natural kid things. Like, maybe flying in a UFO would be, wow, this is legitimately awesome. There are some things, but that scenario, I'm like, oh, shit, we're in fucking trouble. That would be my reaction. He's just like, nah, we're good. We got this. I'm like,
But even that, you're talking about Flight of the Navigator, even that had like the fear of him going in and not knowing what this is. He was afraid, and then he opens up to it.
Actually, funny thing, well, that is a good example. I was actually thinking of Explorers, but...
Oh, well, that too. But they made the spaceship though, so that's a little different.
But so, yeah, I don't know. It just struck me as how tone deaf the movie kind of is, just overall. Like, it doesn't know really who it's trying to appeal to little kids, but it's not really a good cartoon. It's trying to make dogs be better, but the cats are the only characters worth watching.
Yeah. No, it's pretty bad. So, that's all we can say about that, and what else can you say about dogs and cats living together? Mass hysteria!
It's true. This man has no dick.